Innovating Education Learning World in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.
Families move from rural areas to urban ones to search for a better life. For their children, however, being provided with education in the city is costly. China, which is undergoing the biggest internal migration in history, is a good illustration of this. Some dedicated teachers have established cost-friendly private schools to give the children the opportunity of having good education. Let's start with this report from China.
China is undergoing the largest internal migration in history. Thousands of families from the countryside arrive every day in big cities looking for a better life. 400 million are expected to move from the countryside to the already crowded cities in the next 20 years. These people, known as MINGONG, are not considered local residents, so the government hasn't granted access to basic rights such as health, housing or education. To help their children, some teachers have established private schools like this one in the outskirts of Beijing. This centre, called Shaziying, which opened 6 years ago to 760 children between 3 and 14 years old, provides a doorway into education. Enrolling them in a public school in the city would be the equivalent of 6 months' wages. But here their children can attend classes for only €13 a month.
The goal of this school and my responsibility as the director is not to raise smart or gifted children, like in official schools, but to get good education for all students, wherever they are.
Here they learn the same subjects that other schools do and even have 3 English teachers. By mid-morning they stretch their legs with a good gym class, and during recess they play with their peers, eat, study and dream of a better life than their parents had. Their families know more than anyone the importance of schooling for their future.
In my hometown, nobody in my family can take care of my daughters, so I brought them to Beijing, to this school. It's near my house, I like the environment and the quality of the classes.
Teachers also try their best to give them a good education, although their salaries are minimal. To them, it is much more than just a job.
Most of my students have returned to the provinces and now they are learning a job in adult schools. Although I cannot teach them face to face, I always try to keep in touch and give them my best advice.
80% of these schools are illegal and suffer persecution from the local authorities. However, the Chinese government is gradually allowing many of them to come out of hiding, knowing that the country's development depends on the education and happiness of these children.
A better life can also be achieved through the reintegration in the rural society. The street children in Kinshasa who have been neglected by their families and society have been embraced by the warmness of the environment in Guanella city. Let's find out in our next stop in the rural areas of Congo how street children learn a job for their future.
Kinshasa, the Democratic Republic of the Congo's capital and its more than 10 million inhabitants, is Africa's 3rd largest city. Many people come here in search of a better life, children as well as adults. 120 kilometers from Kinshasa on the Bateke Plateau, Guanella Cité takes in young people off the capital's mean streets. It offers them a basic education and training to take back to their rural homes. The cité also houses a primary school for 200 children and a health centre.
We have to reinvest in the countryside. We have to encourage people back into rural areas. We have limits. We have to be humble and realistic about what we can do. But rural life is possible. The scars I carry are from fights, but also from the lack of respect I showed towards my elders. This is why I sought refuge at the centre and why I'm here today.
Here, the belief is that acquiring values comes via hard work, a sort of psychological detox, curing people of their street habits.
We've already been able to readapt a number of young people, and now they're responsible, practicing what we taught them here.
Every year, Guanella Cité takes in between 10 and 12 youths, rotating them with rural centres. It doesn't sound much, but educating people demands great human investment and a lot of energy. Guanella's surrounded by 13 abandoned hamlets and is an oasis faced with the Democratic Republic of the Congo's enormous education needs, but it represents much-needed progress nonetheless.
And finally, advanced technology deep in the countryside. That's what the MILLENNIUM Schools in Ecuador are using to encourage people stay in their rural society. Children there are being taught skills to help them develop in areas where progress is hindered by poverty and bad nutrition.
In Limoncito, the construction of this MILLENNIUM School has been quite a revolution. Young people in this depressed rural area, located 50 kilometers from the Ecuadorian city of Guayaquil, not only learn about the latest farming methods that may enable them to manage their own farm someday, they can also jump to modernity. At the business management class, each student has his own computer. The software's open source Linux, so access is free for everyone.
They get internet, use computers and digital displays, and have interactive resources to follow their lessons. All this technology is free for all the people in the community.
The classroom becomes a language lab, interactive and fun thanks to new technologies such as touch screens. But what are the objectives of the MILLENNIUM School?
We aim to stop the migration to the city, so easy here as it's so near. We also want our students to be inserted into the area's productive life, together with their parents.
The Ecuadorian state's invested just over €1.5 million to build this centre, which teaches everything from bookkeeping to livestock farming. The goal is also to develop an area where bad nutrition and poverty hinder development.
Our motto is learning by doing, and that means not only focusing on farming techniques, but also on behaving well. For example, they often bathe at home with a water jar, but here we have showers. So after that experience, they go back home and tell their parents, hey, you should install a shower here too.
If you have enjoyed our program and you would like to watch it or any other episodes again, you can find us online at euronews.net/learningworld. And don't forget, we will be back next week with more inspiring stories from the world of education.
Learning World in association with WISE, an initiative of Qatar Foundation.